Welcome to the talkSPORT Fan Network. Settle the score with me, Harry Durham. I'm joined by Craig from Up the Cherries in All Departments podcast and Jamie Story from Liverpool Unfiltered. Boys, another magical weekend of Premier League action. Jamie, I'm going to start with you. Mo Salah's brace, the guy just cannot stop. How good is this season going to be for him?
I think the way he's going at the minute, it's probably a Ballon d'Or season. If he does end up propelling Liverpool to a league, I think he's up now to 42 goal contributions in all competitions. And yeah, I think coming into the end of his contract, there's obviously a lot of discussion off the field, but that really hasn't really affected him at all. He's continuing to perform. Even though I think Bournemouth did well, Kirk has managed him, I thought, for big parts of the game, but it's just the quality that he has in those big moments, and he obviously took his opportunities really well.
Are you worried he's going to get injured?
No, I don't, like his injury record at Liverpool is incredible. He's very rarely out on the sidelines, and obviously, last season he had the AFCON. He came back with a little bit of a hamstring injury, but he obviously doesn't have that this year. So, hopefully he can kick on now. And obviously, there's a hope that something big can happen come the end of the season with him at the forefront.
Craig, Bournemouth have been sensational. Even though I support Fulham, I've got a weird soft spot for Bournemouth, and I don't understand why. Especially you beating us on Boxing Day, last season it was really depressing. But the team, so much quality all over the field, and Lewis Cook is someone that I've admired for so many years now. But we need to have a look at that penalty. So contentious, and I think on Match of the Day when they zoomed in, they found the point of contact. Do you think it was soft, and do you think that was a penalty?
Years ago, that would never have been given in a million years. It doesn't matter who was the attacker, which teams it was. It would never have been given. It was a very, very soft penalty. The thing is Lewis Cook, kind of on the pitch, he didn't really create anything with the referee. He didn't turn around and say, "No, ref, you've got it wrong," which I think probably went in Liverpool's favour as well. It was very, very soft. It did look like Cody Gakpo did trip over his own feet from one angle. From the angle behind the players, I can see why the referee gave it. At the time, lots of frustration from our fans, but it's football and it should normally, it probably evens itself out over the course of the season. But yeah, it was soft, it was frustrating, and it kind of changed the game, really.
Jamie, what's your take on that? Have you got any response, or do you agree with Craig and his observation?
No, I agree with Craig. I think as well, in fairness to Cook, and I think that's what probably played into it. He didn't really argue with the referee, so in that instance, I think it was a penalty. I think when you're running that quickly, and you get any sort of touch, which Gakpo obviously did, and then he kind of kicked himself and he went down. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. I think VAR was never going to overturn it either. In that instance, so yeah, I think it was a penalty, and obviously Salah dispatched then.
Craig, what's going on with is it the North or South stand at the moment? Something was trending on social media over the weekend where Marcus Tavernier in two separate games has taken a shot from outside of the box, hits the left-hand post, bounces back out, and I can't remember. It was Clivert this weekend. I can't remember if it was Clivert a couple of weeks or a couple of seasons before. And he can't put it in the back of the net in an open goal. Is this some sort of weird curse that we're seeing at the Vitality at the moment?
It is the North Stand, yeah. And to be honest, yeah, it was a really, really bad miss. Normally, Clivert's been clinical all season. He's been fantastic all season. So unfortunately, even the best players miss one, have those ones where, it's a look away moment. And that was Clivert's. The strike from Tavernier was absolutely outstanding. If that was, I don't think any goalkeeper in the world would have saved that. Had it been a little bit further to the right, and it would have been a fantastic goal. Would have really got us back in the game. But yeah, Clivert should have been burying it from there. But hey, like I say, he's created a lot out of nothing throughout the season. That it happens. It happens.
Jamie, there'll be a lot of debates this morning if you're in work, if you're on the school bus or you're down the pub this evening or whatever. The best midfield front three At midfield front three? No, the best midfield three in the Premier League at the moment, especially off the back of Arsenal winning 5-1, where you got the Parseys, the Odegaards, the Declan Rices. Are we seeing now Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch as the best midfield three in the Premier League this season?
Yeah, I think they're really starting to come into their own. I think Szoboszlai and Gravenberch are obviously the two that you would think of maybe weren't 100% in terms of the quality that they'd be able to consistently show week after week. Obviously Rice, we know what he can do. Partey has been around a long while. Obviously Odegaard had a great season last year, but I think McAllister, Gravenberch, the two of them this season as well, have just been, I think, head and shoulders above the rest. Gravenberch has literally transformed this team. The turn that he did in the second half against Bournemouth was insane. And it's not the first time he's done something like that. He set so many of the counter attacks up that Liverpool obviously do so well at. And I think if we keep those three fifth until the end of the season, then I think it's obviously going to be a really good season for Liverpool. So yeah, just incredible, the three of them so far.
Craig, would you agree with that statement, or have you seen another better midfield three come to the Vitality or even away from home this season?
To be honest, Liverpool are the best team that have come to Dean Court this season, and I think they've been, they really, really did show why they are top of the league. Of course, Arsenal have been here, Man City have been here, and neither of them really got close. But personally, you can see why Liverpool are there. But our centre of midfield is not bad at all. Clivert, Ryan Christie. Ryan Christie's been absolutely fantastic, and Tyler Adams as well. Those two are probably the unsung heroes in our squad. So we've got a very, very good midfield. And when you consider we have still got 9 injuries, which is a ridiculous. And of course, Alex Scott would be going into that midfield. Semenyo could play in the centre as well if needed. Dango Ouattara could play a little bit deeper. So we've got lots and lots of options. So we've got options ourselves. But to answer your question, Liverpool's is most definitely the best we've seen so far this season and come up against.
I know I mentioned the penalty as well, which is really contentious, but big talking point as well was Alexis McAllister. Should he have had 2 yellow cards and should he have been off the pitch? First one stops Atara on the counter attack, and then almost sort of karate kicks David Brooks in the lower regions. And I mean, for any of us gentlemen that have played the game at an amateur level, if a ball or a foot or anything goes towards that region, it's very painful. Craig, I want to get response from both of you off the back of this. Craig, should he have been given a second yellow and given his marching orders?
Personally, I think yeah. I've not made much about it, to be honest. Again, there's been times throughout the season, when you've seen players get sent off and you think, well, that's a bit harsh. And then some when you thought, well, they should have gone for that. Arne Slot, made the substitution straight away, didn't he, pretty much? And I think it was because he knew that Alexis McAllister was lucky. I think one more, even if it wasn't as bad as that, he probably would have got the red. So he's a very lucky boy. I think the second foul was worse than the first one, in my honest opinion. But it's football and referees make decisions. I didn't think that we got the rub of the green with the referee on Saturday at all. But it works like that sometimes. I know that a lot of Bournemouth fans are saying that and saying it's a big 6 biased and things like that. I don't buy into that. I think it is, unfortunately, I think the referee had a bad game from my perspective. But it happens, and it's, we have to take the rough with the smooth. One day we'll have a little bit better luck and, get decisions go for us. So it's the way it goes.
Well, Jamie, obviously, with you being a Liverpool fan, do you think the right decision was made by the referee to keep Alexis McAllister on the pitch?
I like how admirable Craig's been in the situation. Because I think if it was the other way around, I probably would be looking for a red card as well. Thought McAllister got lucky, and as Craig said, almost straight away the screen pan to Arnie Slot and Curtis Jones was getting ready, because I think he knew one more decision and he was going to be off. So I think, yeah, on another day, it definitely could have went against Liverpool. Same with the penalty. I just think Liverpool had the rub of the green. But as Craig said, sometimes you get those decisions, and I think over the course of a season, it does even itself out. So glad it obviously went our way on the day.
Lads, just two more questions from me. Jamie, I'm going to start with you first. Off the back of what you saw from Arsenal fans, of course, going crazy outside the Emirates on social media. They are, and I think we can all agree, one of the most hilarious fan bases in the world and one of the most vocal fan bases on the planet as well. Jamie, are you a bit worried off the back of what you saw last night? And if they do bring someone in this transfer window and shock the entire Premier League and footballing world, they could be right up there for the title race with you?
It wouldn't be like them to overreact on social media after a win, but in terms of competing with Liverpool for the league, yeah, I think they're a very good team. They're going to be there or thereabouts. If they signed a striker, I would be a lot more worried than if they didn't. I think they've obviously bid for Ollie Watkins. I don't think long term that might be the right move, but I think in this what they need right now, it would be a good move. And obviously, I think right now is just about winning the Premier League. That's all they're kind of focused on. So if they were to get him for, say, 60, 70 million, then that would be a worry. But I think with the quality Liverpool have, the experience, we have a nice blend. The midfield are kind of starting to come to the fore, like we've obviously talked about. You obviously have Van Dijk and Salah, Alisson, Trent. There's a lot of quality in that team, but and then not to mention the obviously the gap that we have. I think it'll be crucial over the next few weeks because we have Everton, Man City, Arsenal have Forest, and if we're still 9 or say 7, 10 points around that after those, then I think Liverpool will be in a really good position, and I don't think Arsenal will be able to claw back from then.
Right, last question from me, lads, and Craig, goes to you. I always think when I see a club like Bournemouth and they're doing so well and whatnot, and with me supporting Fulham, I've been in the same situation as well when we've had like standout performers and whatnot. You can think of Fabio Carvalho in our promotion season. You can think of Alexander Mitrovic, even though he went to Saudi. Are you worried that Bournemouth and all the success that they're having, you're becoming a bit of a feeder club for the big boys? You got Kirkes, that is arguably one of the best left backs in the league, behind Anthony Robinson. That's no bias, that's just fact. Howson, who's been unbelievable in the back line as well. Semenyo, Atara, who I love watching. Cliver. The list goes on and on and on. Are you worried that this could just be like their audition tape for clubs in the top 6, and then they go in the summer?
Oh, Harry, Kirkes is the best left back in the Premier League. By far, mate, he is the best, and he's really shown. He's really stepped up this season, and just keeps getting better and better. Yeah, I am worried. I think our team could be torn to shreds this summer. I don't think it'll happen today. It's not going to happen in this window, but in the summer, especially if we miss out on some European football, which would be a real shame at this point in time. I think we'll have a real tough time of it keeping those players. But to answer your question, the biggest concern for me is the manager, Andoni
Yeah.
Iraola, who's been linked with Spurs. I don't know why anybody would ever want to go to Spurs for, but he could be. I could see it. They're a bigger club than us. Would he have a great relationship with Daniel Levy? Well, let's be honest. Antonio Conte's gone there. Mourinho, Nuno's gone there as well. All of them have done magical things in football, both in the past, since. And look at what Forest are doing this year with Nuno. So working with Daniel Levy, I think it would be a poison chalice for Andoni Iraola and the style he wants. But there's a lot of players being linked with a lot of clubs. Of course, Kirkes is being linked with Liverpool. That's the big one. Also, Dean Howson is being linked, and we found out that he's got a release clause in his contract. So how much that is, who knows? But I think kind of that, and it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Would Dean Howson have considered coming to Bournemouth if he didn't have that clause in his contract? I don't think he would. So I think there is going to be that part of it where we are going to have to kind of accept that players will move on. Stabania has been linked with Man City and Real Madrid. If either of them come knocking, I'm sorry, he's going to be going, isn't he? I think teams are looking at Kluivert now as well. Semenyo's been talked about a lot. So yeah, our team could get pulled to shreds a little bit, but as long as we don't lose the manager, lose our focus, that's the key thing. But then again, if we do lose a lot of these players, will the manager go, right? Okay, there's teams in Spain knocking on the door. I don't think he'll go to Spurs, but if one of the big teams in Spain come knocking, I think he probably would go back home and do a really, really good job in a league that he knows. At the end of the day, he did a fantastic job with Vallecano, who are such a small club. So he would be the biggest loss. Andoni Iraola. We need to give him a 10-year contract now. Live. Some lifetime contract, so he's here for good. But I don't think those exist really in football. So yeah, it's only a matter of time. We've just got to enjoy it whilst we've got it.
Listen, yeah, I think I might have just seen a pig flying just by the studio windows, and there's no windows in the studio as well. Listen, Craig, Jamie, thank you so much for your time and speaking to us on this Monday morning. All the best for the rest of the season. If I don't speak to you, and thank you to the listener, to the viewer for watching the talkSPORT Fan Network. Settle the score.